Okay, today in the news, which I go to it with Don Surber, we go. The Wall Street Journal reports American Catholic priests are becoming more conservative, even as their flocks become more liberal. Don Surber writes the reader who sent me this link said, "Not sure this is newsworthy to the general public, but I have also found this to be the case." I don't believe so because they just defrocked Father Frank Pavone because he was, for whatever reason, he was very pro-life. Well, they allow all these other factions in the Catholic Church to go on. So I don't believe this at all. This is not. I just, I strongly disagree. But anyways, then Sherber goes on to write. He doesn't know much about shepherds, but I'm pretty sure they lead the flock and don't follow it. I see the priests not follow. Yeah, I don't believe it. I've heard so much. I don't believe this. This is a rumor. I don't believe it. All right, item two. Fox reports. No, I don't believe this. Item one. The only Catholic priest who's been elected to Congress was pro-abortion. I mean, it's ridiculous. But anyways, Fox reports President Biden was furious and cursed repeatedly about the border crisis as illegal immigrants kept flocking to the overwhelmed southern border, according to an upcoming book detailing the first years of Biden's presidency. And Fox continues to report in the fight for his life inside Joe Biden's White House, author Chris Whipple describes Biden's fury as his administration attempted to get a grip on the raging crisis at the border in 2021, when a historic surge was going on, and there was growing criticism of his administration. Meanwhile, illegal immigrants kept arriving, and Biden was furious, allegedly. The book says aides have rarely seen him so angry. From all over the West Bank, you hear the president cursing, dropping F bombs. He'd always apologize when we were president. One senior advisor told Whipple that the frustration came from a lack of solutions. Oh, but, and Don Surber writes, and correctly, I believe, there are solutions, but Biden doesn't want to use them. Item three. Forbes complains. TikTok spies on Forbes journalists. Boo hoo. 2 years ago, Donald Trump tried to ban TikTok. Forbes opposed him, claiming the president vowed to ban the app as soon as today. But anyways, TikTok, Trump was right. So, TikTok was spying on people. Forbes protected it. Steve Forbes was behind it. So, they're all crying, you know, now that they can't blame Trump. Well, but it's the same players. Except for Twitter. That's a different story. But NBE item four. NBC reports a California interior designer was convicted of first-degree murder Wednesday after prosecutors said she kissed her killed her butterfly conservationist stepfather when she found nude photos of herself on his computer. Uh, eh, So as the jury, San Diego jury read its verdict uh, against Jade Sasser Jenks, 39 of Salona Beach, her eyes wide and she appeared to be in some disbelief. So as she turned toward her defense lawyer, and Don Surber writes, "What she did was creepy. What he did was creepy, but not worthy of the death penalty. What she did is." I don't think they have the Florida. I don't know if they have the death penalty in Florida anymore. So that's really, I don't know. I don't think she's going to get the death penalty. All right. New item five. News Service of Florida reports the Florida Supreme Court on Tuesday approved a request by Ron DeSantis to impanel a statewide grand jury to investigate alleged wrongdoing related to COVID-19 vaccines. Supreme Court issued an order that impaneled a grand jury for a year and appointed Hillsborough County Circuit Judge Ronald Vicarota to preside over it. Grand jury members will be joined from 5 judicial circuits. Good for Florida, Don Surber writes. Item 6. Birmingham Real-Time News reports. Dr. Jeffrey Kirby, sorry, director of the Division of Trauma and Acute Surgery at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, said the number of gunshot victims has increased from about 600 to 1,200 a year since 2013. In the last 3 years, the overall number of trauma cases increased by 40%. To adapt that, hospitals added full-time surgeons and trauma fellows. Trained surgeons receive an extra trainer to see patients who have been shot, injured in car crashes, or other accidents. In 2019, the hospital added the additional trauma surgeons in part to keep up with a sharp increase in attempted gun homicides and suicides. So, and Don Surber claims it's not the unvaccinated who overran the hospital, it's lockdowns in something in BLM, which is the Bureau of Land Management. Former drove the increase in suicides, while the later drove the increase in homicides, because you don't want to go after people. Washington Times reports that a Missouri mayor banned kids from attending a drag scene Christmas. Or, you know, they also banned kids from going to bars and strip clubs. So, what's new about that? Christmas in Need is the real Christmas, not this groomer fantasy. And again, National Lampoon Christmas was fun. Cousin Eddie display in Kentucky apparently looked a little too real, and police were called out to check it out. Cousin Eddie, that's funny. All right, NBC item 9. NBC reports the NBC went easy on Trump's tax returns because he used accountants. The congressional report says, and lawyers. He hired accountants and lawyers to go through the tax code to minimize his taxes. Amazing, amazing. Yes, it's amazing. Yahoo reports former federal judge Luttig says if Trump is convicted, a federal judge will have no choice but to sentence him to prison. Well, Luttig and his J6 buddies shaved their verdict and their share. I think he meant share. Their verdict and their sentence. Sure have their verdict. Sure. I think he meant sure have their verdict and their sentence ready. Now all they have to do is find a crime, something they have searched for 6 years. Just the news reported, item 11. House Republicans gathered a trove of email messages showing House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office was directly involved in the creation and editing of the Capitol security plan that failed during the January 6th riot, and that security officials later declared they had been lied again and again to protect one of the nation's most important homes of democracy. The internal communications were made public Wednesday in a report compiled by Republican Reps Rodney Davis, Jim Banks, Troy Nails, Jim Jordan, Kelly Armstrong that encompassed the results of months of investigation they did of evidence that had been ignored by the Democrat-led January 6th committee. The lawmakers were authorized by House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy to do their own probe. The report concludes that the Capitol was left vulnerable on January 6th as a result of failures by the Democrat leadership in the House and the law enforcement leaders in the Capitol Police who allowed concerns about the optics of having armed officers and the National Guardsmen visible to the public to override the need for enhanced security. So, Don Surber doesn't buy the excuse of lack in resources. He has 2,000. There's 2,000 Capitol Police officers protecting 12,500 Congress congressional Congress people and staffers. And Don Surber says he thinks overstaffing is a problem. I think it's a lack of accountability. But they can always pass the buck. That's the Capitol Police. Item 12, the Daily Caller reported. The Federal Appeals Court report ruled in favor of two pro-life groups in Louisville, Kentucky, who filed a lawsuit after the city erected buffer zones to prevent pro-life groups from praying or demonstrating near abortion clinics. The same in the same lefty rights, mostly peaceable protests. Uh, the same in who believes that it's there's a right to mostly people protest praying freak out over somebody praying near an abortion clinic. Item 13, Both TV reports. Big TV tech collectively lost about 7.4 trillion, and layoffs were just as massive. Learn to coal mine. That's a Don Surber joke. Item 14, the Washington Examiner reports. Russia's sole aircraft carrier naval flagship tested fire amid repair work. Ukrainians in April sank the Moskva, the flagship of the Russians' Black Sea Fleet. Ukraine does not have a navy, and the joke is apparently Russians don't have one. Also, don't have one. Item 15, CNBC reports. FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried, easy to remember, of some banking fraud, to be released on 250 million bail. Will live with his parents. Nice that he has 250 million dollars. Sad because up until he got caught stealing billions, the SBF was one of the few people in his generation to escape his mother's basement. And the Washington Examiner reported a regulatory official previously signed with FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried, or some banking fraud, and his lobbyist has stepped down from his role at the Securities and Exchange Commission. SEC General Counsel Dan Berkowitz announced that he is departing his role at the agency effective January 30th, the agency said. Berkowitz was an ally of FTX within the Financial Regulatory Agency and had his meeting with FBF and other crypto lobbyists. Something tells me that SBF wasn't the only dance partner on Berkowitz's card. He'll do just fine. Item 16, Sterogam reported legendary Philly soul hit maker Thom Bell dead at 79. Headline said he was one of the archetypes of the sound of Philadelphia in the 1970s, writing songs and or producing hits, including La La Means I Love You, Didn't I Blow Your Mind This Time, and You Are Everything, and Bet You by Golly, Wow, and Break Up to Make Up, and You Make Me Feel Brand New, and I'm Stone in Love with You, and I'll Be Around, and Could It Be I'm Falling in Love, and The Rubber Band Man. And he's taken a lot of good music to rock and roll heaven. Oh, uh, I didn't mean to go there. And finally, the Postal Millennial reports. Senate passed a massive 1.7 trillion government funding spending bill by 68 to 29 on Tuesday, allowing it to pass the House before Friday's deadline. And McConnell and his Mary Brand Rhinos kneecap their own party voters again. Yes, this is true of McConnell. He keeps doing this over and over again. So that's it for today. That's the news in summary. I hope you have a wonderful day and better tomorrow.